Hey guys, let's learn about slope today. Today we're just going to be introduced to what slope is and how to find the slope of a graph. So let's get started. I want you to think about some things that we can predict in the future. What do you think you can predict? What do you think you can't predict? So we kind of can predict that eventually we will die, but we cannot predict how we're going to die, when we're going to die, what time, any of those things. Another thing that we can and kind of can't predict is the weather. We can predict what it could be, but sometimes it does end up being what it actually is and sometimes it doesn't. So think about those, what we can and can't predict in life. As we go through the slides today, first we need to know the 4 types of slopes that we learned the other day. We learned a positive slope, meaning it's increasing from left to right, or puff puff positive from the slope man. Negative, or nice negative, decreasing from left to right. 0, this is zero fun is what Mr. Slope Man says. It's a horizontal line. Think about the horizon. That's a 0 slope. Nothing's increasing, nothing's decreasing, it's just moving from left to right. And the most biggest curse word in math, undefined, according to Mr. Slope Man, which is a vertical line going straight up and down. It doesn't move left or right. So, as we go through these, remember those 4 types when we're looking at graphs. So, slope. What is slope? Slope is rise over run. Think about getting out of bed. You rise up, you sit up, and then you get out of bed, right? You don't just run to the bathroom instantly from laying down in bed sleeping. So, rise, meaning we're going either up or down. And run, meaning left or right. So it's highly important. One thing that you need to remember when we're doing slope from lines, always start from the farthest left point. Meaning we move from left to right, right? So as we go along a graph, as we're moving from left to right, we want to make sure that we hit the farthest left point we can in order to solve for the slope. It's a lot easier to be consistent. So we found our first point, which is right here. We need to get to our second point, which is all the way up here. So how we're going to do that is we're going to start here from our furthest left point. In this case, they already kind of solved it for us. We're going to go straight up all the way until the line where our other dot is. And from that point, we're going to run all the way to the other point. So how to calculate it, we're going to count the boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I rose up 4. And then I ran 1, 2, and 3. So my slope is a positive slope, so it's going straight up and down. So my slope for this one, rise over run, so I rose 4 and ran 3. So let's actually get into our examples and our steps to see what's going on. So the first thing you need to do when we are looking at a graph to find the slope is we need to determine what type of slope is it. Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it 0? Is it undefined? Before we even start solving for slope, we need to know what it is. So looking at our graph over here, this is obviously a positive slope. The reason why is because it's increasing from left to right. Our second step would be to find the rise and the run. So remember, the rise is a vertical amount, up and down. And run is horizontally, running left or right. So we need to start at our furthest left point, which is going to be right here. And the reason it's a point is, look, it hits right in between the x and y coordinates. So we're going to hit it right there. We got our first point and our second points. So we're going to start here and end over here. So first we need to rise. We need to rise up all the way until we are level or horizontal with our point. And then we're going to run to that point from there. So let's see, I rose 1 and 2. And then I ran 1, 2, 3. So my slope, my rise over run, is 2 over 3. So that's my slope. And that compares because we have a positive slope and our answer is positive. Let's look at what the third step is. Our third step is going to be write the rise over run as a simplified fraction. So if we had something like 12 over 3, we would simplify it. Or 16 over 4, we would simplify it. In this case, we don't need to simplify because 2 can't go into 3 and they both don't share a common number except for 1. So we're going to leave it as 2 over 3. So let's look at some examples and go over a few before you get to your checkpoint. Alright, so what is the slope of this line, you ask? Well, first we need to establish if it's positive, negative, undefined, or 0. So it looks like it's increasing, so that means it's going to be a positive slope. So I know my answer has to be positive. So now I'm going to start from the furthest left point here, which looks like exactly right here. And what I'm going to do is mark my second point all the way up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here and end up there. So we're going to start going up ever so slightly, and then we're going to go over there. Okay, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my rise, because we're finding rise over run, my rise is 6 over, how far did I run? Let's see. 1, 2. I ran 2. So I have 6 over 2. Can I simplify it? Absolutely. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my slope for this one is 3. Or you can write it as 3 over 1, whichever. And that's how you find it. Let's do the next one. So it looks like we have a different one now. So what kind of line is this? Well, it's a negative line. It's a negative slope. So that means my answer needs to be negative because it's decreasing from left to right. So I'm going to start from my furthest left point and end up at the next point. So what we're going to do, instead of going up, we're going to rise down and then over to the other point. So I rose -2 and I ran 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope, my rise over run, is -2 over a 4. Now can this be simplified? Absolutely. They both go into 2. So I'm going to simplify it and I'm going to get -1/2. So that does it. My answer is negative, meaning that I have a negative slope, and that's what's pictured. Now looking at this one's going to be super easy. What kind of line is this? Undefined. So if we ever have an undefined line, I know it's a little bit crooked, but if we do have an undefined line, that means the slope is undefined. So literally when you have this, just write undefined. Do not write 0 because that's something completely different. So for the next one, this one doesn't actually have points, so you have to actually find them yourself. So we know that this is a positive line, a positive slope. It's increasing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pen and I'm just going to slowly go all the way to here, And the reason that this is a point is, look, I can clearly see, oops, I can clearly see that this is 2, 2, 8. This point is 2, 8. So I'm going to keep going until I see another clear point. Oh, look, right here. Which this is going to be 6, 9. Wow, super cool. So now I have my starting point and my ending point. I'm going to rise and run. So how far did I rise? 1. And how far did I run? 4. So I have a positive slope, and my line said it was positive. So now I have a slope of 1/4. All right, last one I'm going to go over with you, and then you guys are going to do the other ones. This one right here, if it's moving from left to right, what kind of slope is this? 0. So my slope is just 0. So now what I want you to do is I want you to go online, and I want you to go into your summit and complete the checkpoint.